G'day everyone, thanks for joining the Soar Cast. Today we're going to interview Tony with Ultimate Drone Fishing in Perth. And we're going to learn how you can catch your drone to get the ultimate catch. Thanks for joining the Soar Cast, where we talk about drones, manned aircraft, and satellites, and how they relate to geospatial products found on the Soar platform. G'day everyone, this is Darren with the Soar Cast, and I'm with Tony Cornell of Ultimate Drone Fishing. It's good to have you here, Tony.
Thank you for inviting me.
Yeah, well, I might actually just start off with a story about how Tony and I met. It was Christmas Eve, in fact, and I was at the beach with my son, and we were just having a good time. It was a beautiful day here in Western Australia, and these two blokes come down with a drone. I thought, everybody likes it when you're flying a drone. If somebody comes up and asks you questions, they have to. It's just the way it happens. But anyways, chatted to Tony, found out he's doing some really interesting things in the space of, as his name says, drone fishing. So it's good to have you. Like I said, I think the first question is, besides the obvious, drone fishing, what is drone fishing?
Drone fishing is, we get it all the time, and a lot of people who do fish may understand this, but they tell us we're cheating. But in actual fact, it's just another form of bait delivery. So it's the same as having a boat. It's the same as casting your bait. So anyone can walk down to a beach, cast a line, catch no fish, or they can learn how to read the surf, improve their chances of catching it. Or if you've got a boat, once again, you go out in a boat to get out into deeper water, catch different species of fish, or catch larger fish, or increase your yield. They use a sonar to then minimize that. So with drone fishing, we're basically dropping our baits out 200 to 300 meters. We use a couple of different apps where we can see the depth of the water, the water temperature. So it's not like we're just dropping the baits out there, and our results are awesome. Usually to catch snapper, you need to be offshore, or if you have winter, the snappers will come in close to shore, but pretty much in every trip we're going out on, we're catching snapper from about 300 meters out.
Yeah.
So it does improve the yield, and it's fun.
Yeah. So that's quite awesome. And I guess I'm going to ask another obvious question. It's not like your drone flies out and catches the fish and brings it back to you. No,
and we do get that on our Instagram page a few times, which is fine, because most people sort of don't understand, they've never seen it before. But no, so the bait, the rig, is actually attached to the drone, and it can be attached via a bait release clip, such as this spry clip. This is a tension release clip, or some of the waterproof drones have an actual electronic clip, and you can get electronic clips that attach to non-fishing drones. So attach it to that. You then take the drone out. You release the bait either by continuing the flight, stopping the line from going out, which releases from the tension clip, or release it on an actuator via the remote control to whatever location you want, or whatever distance you want.
Okay.
So it's not you can though attach with a tension release clip, attach the line directly to and have the fish take a bait or a lure. But it will release from that, so it won't bring the drone down.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we'll talk a little bit more about that a little bit later in the chat about those clips. And you know, I think I've heard a little bit about taking bait out with a drone, and I even heard about a guy who was basically rocking up on the beach and telling the fishermen, "Look, here's 5 tickets, $10. You know, whenever you want to cast, come by and use one of your tickets."
Yes.
And so he was probably having fun too. And it's a good point you made about not necessarily cheating, because I had a side scan sonar, and tells you what the bottom's like, what's on the bottom. You know, you're basically able to see,
you do. I'll have to borrow that from you.
from the boat. Yeah. Well, and I'll tell you more about what I was doing with that. I was actually maybe a topic for another Soar Cast, but I built a boat for surveying water bodies, so surveying ponds and sewerage bodies,
Yep.
sewerage water bodies. Doesn't sound glamorous, but put a depth sounder on it. It would record the depths and the location. Then you could build a map out of that. And so I thought, why not put side scan? I mean, you've got sonar, jump up to side scan. And so I had that on there, and it worked pretty good. And anyhow, maybe there's an implementation with a drone, a side scan down the track, but let's not jump ahead of ourselves.
Sure.
How long have been people? I mean, drones have been around, for, I guess, commercial drones, people actively using them for not too long, but maybe you can tell us when you got started, when you got hooked.
All right. So that was interesting. So that wasn't that long ago. So that was March 2019, so last year. So I was going through, I turned 50 last year, and I've been in the same job for 30 years. I just wasn't happy. My health was failing. I was overweight. My back was, sitting in a desk job, my back was no good. My knees were no good. Everything was falling to pieces, and I just wasn't happy. And I used to, when I was younger, up to my 30s, go fishing all the time. Fishing was my passion. I used to fly remote control planes. I've written and published 2 books in the UK, so writing was a passion of mine too. So I just really was at that point in time, was thinking, how can I join all that together? Another factor of my decision was that my wife hated me fishing, hated me camping, hated me forward driving. So how can I sort of build up a business or do something that I'll actually enjoy and just get some sort of, I suppose, mental health, just get out of the office and do something different and actually feed the soul. And I got invited to go fishing with some friends, and there was about 5 of us. The wind was howling. We got there late. We got bogged actually, and our Instagram group is now called the Beach Bogging Buddies. So it was a really bad day. So we didn't fish that night. We drank heaps of alcohol, got up late, got up at 9 o'clock. We thought, okay, we missed sunrise, so we're not going to catch any fish. Someone pulled out a drone, and I'd heard about it, and we dropped the baits out, I think about 250 metres, and we landed 3 or 4 snappers in the space of half an hour, a couple of bust offs, and that particular drone went down. It had a snag on the reel, brought the drone down. It was a Phantom, and that's what got me started. But it wasn't so much the drone, it was actually the fishing rods. So the fishing rods, they were using beach rods, and they weren't really designed for that purpose. And I actually started on the journey creating the fishing rods, the drone rods specifically for this. And then one thing led on to another. Found a supplier, IDF Tech in China, flew to China, met with them, and then the business just grew from there. So now I get to go fishing, camping, forward driving, and I'm on a business trip. So it's great.
Oh, it's brilliant.
And feed the soul. It's just fun.
Oh, that's a great story. We like to keep it light on the Soar Cast. So the first light question of the interview is, does your wife own a drone?
No, she hates drones too. She loves shopping and shopping.
Well,
she's a great girl, but she's not. She actually grew up in the country, but she just doesn't like the country or the camping or that sort of thing.
Fair enough. So, well, that and we need our me time. So
we do.
That if you tell her you're out flying the drone, it's you time. So good on you. I was looking at drone fishing and thinking about it, and like when we met up, you talked about the gear and the way that you drone fish, and it seems to me that there's you could almost break it into 2 parts. Like you can take, like you said earlier, the drones that are sort of all-purpose drones, the ones you buy at the electronics store, good drones, but they don't say fishing anywhere on them. And then there's the drones that we'll look at in a second that do everything for they're sort of purpose built. So there's the drones that are purpose built, but then also the modification. So probably we'll start with sort of modification, the things that can go on a sort of a store-bought drone. And what are, let's say, I know a Phantom is kind of like an all-purpose drone. I mean, people have modified them quite a bit. I have a Phantom. What could I do to it to get me drone fishing?
Majority of people that do drone fishing or start off drone fishing use the DJI Phantom or the DJI Mavic, and both are really stable platforms. Not waterproof, unfortunately, and corrosion proof, but this clip, for instance, is actually designed for a Phantom. So this is the new Sky Clip, which basically mounts to the 2 landing gear, and you just attach that to the drone itself. You've got other ones that fit the Mavics or the Spry drones and those sort of things. These are tension release modules, so I really like these only because it just really reduces the chances of the drone going down due to a tangle or reel bind or something like that. And you control behind these as well. Electronic one is fine, and I've got a good friend, Daniel Horner, he's probably the most experienced drone fisherman that I've ever met. I call him obsessed, but he's actually very dedicated. That's pretty much. But he's done well over 200, 300 drops with his Mavic with an electric one and never had a problem. He's a very skilled flyer. So that's what you can use for those type of drones.
Okay.
Yep.
That actually brings to mind something, and you've mentioned it once or twice. A calamity, a worst case scenario, something goes wrong. So as I understand that, you clip the bait on and you carry it out a couple hundred meters and you look through the camera and you see, a bait ball or something like that. And that's when you go. But you mentioned like a snag or something. So if the reel catches or the line gets snagged on something, it's kind of like, what does it do? It just pulls the drone down into the water?
It can do, yeah. To a point where if you're not that experienced, it's very hard to recover from that. And you've got the extra weight on it too.
Yeah.
The real experienced drone fisherman will release that bait immediately. And that's why you just need to be methodical about what you do. Catching, watching the reel. If you've got two people, you can do it by yourself. But you just need to be watching all the time. What's happening? What's your video feedback? But like I say, the tension release clips are probably the safest that you can use. This particular one, just to give you an idea. So this is an adjustable one. You can over adjust it. That's so with this one, these are actually adjusted in factory to never exceed, in this case, the Phantom drone's carrying capacity. So you can never over weigh the. If you're really experienced and you want to, you can adjust it beyond that. But it's I like to stick to this.
Stick to the specs, especially. I mean, we all know about the guy who saw 5% left on his battery and thought he could fly that bit further. Or worse off, like the first time I flew on an offshore day, I thought, oh, this is great. I can see the reef where the guys surf. And then I saw the drone, it just kept going out and out. And I realized that the winds were obviously a lot higher up at 100 meters, and the drone just couldn't come back. So the hot tip is drop down as far as you can go and come back in because the winds will be a little bit lower.
And be mindful that your lithium battery should never over discharge the battery. So you should, minimum. I like to sort of put an alarm of about 10% minimum. So it gives you enough time to get it back, and you don't destroy expensive batteries as well.
Okay, next lighthearted question.
Yep.
Have you ever sunk a drone?
Never. On purpose, I have.
Okay. Yeah.
But the drones that I've done that to are waterproof. So
Okay.
That's okay.
That's good. Let's segue into the baby. I'm going to call it the baby, but just grab the Swell Pro for us. Yeah.
So this particular drone, the Swell Pro Spry, it's a sports drone. It wasn't made for drone fishing, but we have been testing it out. We've got a new clip being made by Skyclip with the tension release on that as well. But that so far is awesome little drone and fully waterproof. There's videos of this actually going underwater. It's got a 4K camera. Flight time 17 to 20 minutes. It's not huge, but batteries are quite cheap to buy with this. So it's just a matter of buying a couple of spare batteries. But really forgiving. It's really resilient. As you can feel the quality of that. I've seen videos of it slamming into the water. The propellers are quite flexible as well. So it's a good little drone that, but very stable too. This drone.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, and then let's go on to the mothership. I call it
the mothership. Yeah, this is the cargo. The cargo ship. So that's a fully purpose-built fishing drone. So it's the Poseidon Pro. It's IP67 waterproof rated. It has a 32-minute flight time, which is really, really good for the size of that. It has a lifting capacity of 1.5 kilos, and it has an electronic release mechanism with a 720p camera, which is not on the gimbal. When you're drone fishing, you don't really need to have that. So as opposed to one of the Swell Pros or the DJI, you can film with these as well. This is purely for fishing. So this is basically what it's made for. 720p digital too. So it's a digital feedback to an app. It's all carbon fiber legs, carbon fiber propellers. You can get an idea of the. I might put that little leg up to the size of that. Yeah. So it's pretty. Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
It's quite robust, and with a 1.5 payload, I imagine you could long line. So carrying out multiple hooks on one line. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. Australia, we can't get away with that too much.
Okay, yeah.
New Zealand, no problems. Yeah. But yeah, we can lift quite heavy baits, so for shark fishing and so forth, within reason. But there's other things too. You've got to worry about the wind. So this has actually got up to both at force level 6. It'll handle quite well in both at force level 5, which is quite high. It's just the size of the drone and the weight of the drone can handle it quite well. But then your battery times as well. So the heavier the bait, the stronger the wind, headwind, it's going to reduce your battery time. Yeah. So you just got to keep your eye on the battery.
Okay. Well, maybe we'll set that guy aside because we've got more things to go through.
Sure.
That little guy, the Swell Pro, it can go, or Spry. I've seen it go in the water. How deep can it go?
Well, look, they're not submarines.
Yeah.
So it's waterproof. Okay. So and they say it's fully waterproof, but you wouldn't want to submerge it for that long. And all of my drones, even though they are waterproof, I try not to put them in the water. It's electronics. Electronics and water is not good.
Yeah.
But that little, I've seen photos of images of it actually going underwater, being submerged about a metre and then surfacing up. Yeah. This has got an auto right feature as well, so you can actually turn it over, which is quite clever.
Oh, okay. Nerdy question. Do the radio signals go through the water?
No.
Oh, okay.
So I suppose you'd have to wait until it actually surfaces before that. Yeah.
Okay.
And pray.
Yeah, and pray. We did some of that earlier today. We're not going to tell you what we did this morning, but myself and the drone father who's filming this, everything came out right. Well, most everything. Anyways, moving on. You mentioned a little bit about regulations, so it's probably good to just quickly, what are the regulations, or what regulations regarding recreational fishing would apply or associated, in this style of fishing?
So there is nothing at the moment with regards to there's still your catch limits and so forth. Okay. You can't long line. There is the CASA regulations coming out very soon, which is I think is a fantastic thing. It just keeps every drone, regardless of the weight, the size, will have to be registered, I believe, which is good. It just makes people accountable. There's also, we'll have to do a quick course so that they know the rules behind that. So it's for safety reasons, and it's also there's fines involved too. So the fines are quite steep if you do the wrong thing. So I think it's a good thing. I believe with recreational fishing drones over 2 kilograms, you'll need an actual license to fly, but that won't be introduced until the end of 2020, 2021. Okay. What CASA are telling me at the moment.
Oh, okay. I don't know if it's as big here, but obviously I'm from the U.S. and bass fishing is big. Yeah. And there's pros. They go around different lakes, make money and have signature reels, I guess, and things like that. Our guys, we're talking mainly beach fishing here, and that's big here in WA and around Australia and even New Zealand. What freshwater fishing, drone fishing, is that taking off, or is it as popular?
I'm yet to try it because there's a couple of spots for trout south of Perth, and I would love to maybe try the drones out and drop some into some spots where I think there's trout. It can definitely work 100%, but I don't really know much about the American scene. I know that drone fishing is very, very new there. It is starting to gain momentum. But I can't see why you couldn't. They probably get caught cheating.
Yeah, probably. Okay. Do you know offhand what's the biggest fish that anyone's ever caught using a drone?
I don't, but some of the photos that I've seen on the internet, and we landed a 8 foot bronze whaler. My friend did. Daniel Horney was out with the Wasman brothers, which I got to meet these young guys. They're only 18, 23, really good guys, but just crazy shark fishermen down south of Perth. And they hooked into an 8-pound bronzy and they were using trying out the G Reaper rod. And so that's, But I've seen in South Africa, drone fishing is very, very big, and they're all about sharks. The shark fishing is quite big there. So I'm not fit enough to be able to, to be going after these monsters of the deep. But there would be some monsters that would have been caught by drone fishing.
Yeah. Oh, good. Do you have a favorite fishing joke?
I don't even know a fishing joke.
Oh, okay.
Do you know one?
Not off the top of my head, but everybody's everybody's got a fish. Yeah, that's all right.
I'm gonna look one up though when I get home.
Yeah. Another random question. And it leads back to the previous one. I don't suppose there's an entry in the Guinness Book of World Records for the largest fish caught by a drone.
There's not.
But you could be the first entry.
I would like to hook one up, but I'll pass the rod to someone.
Okay. Yeah. So it's pretty full on.
Oh look, because it depends upon how far you drop the lines out. But sometimes they can be 300, 400, 500 meters. So you hook something sizable. You've got to reel in all of that. Go for runs and fight this massive fish. And there's guys that do it. Look, I do enjoy hooking a big fish, but I don't target sharks or anything like that. Okay. So I'm a bit off of that.
No,
I don't mind passing the rod to some of the younger guys and letting them have an hour fight. Yeah.
Can we talk cost? So like the like one of these guys.
Yep.
And the clips. What do you spend on a clip?
So majority of the clips are around $129, so anywhere from $119 to $129. And that's pretty much if you've got a drone like a Phantom or a Mavic. We also have clips for smaller drones than that, but within reason, and that obviously it scales to how much bait you can carry. But you're looking about $119, $129, and you're fishing. And you can use any fishing rod. A surf fishing rod's fine, so it doesn't cost much to get. As long as if you're going to use a tension release one, it's safer for your drone.
And if you go with the Swell Pro or
about $1,500 standard. 1860 will get you the drone, a clip, two additional batteries, so 3 batteries in total, a spare set of propellers, spare optical cover, and a membrane kit. So that's like the fisherman version of that. The Poseidon Pro itself, that's 1860. And that's with that's everything you see there. So that's a full machine. So anything up to about 1,800 to 2,000 will get you a good waterproof drone, or $129 gets you out and gets you taste for it.
Well, let's put that into perspective. So you have like a good setup, a rod and reel.
Yep.
If a good beach casting setup, what could you spend on one of those?
For drone fishing or for beach fishing? Look,
beach fishing.
Okay. Look, you could buy combo package, cheap combo package, $100, or you could spend anywhere up to $3,000-4,000 for a rod and reel package. So, but a really decent surf rod, you'd be paying $400-500 for it, and then a decent reel for $500 to $1,000. So it just depends upon what you want. And there are differences. There's weight differences with everything.
But it's not a big stretch if you consider that you're paying $1,000 for a good setup. Another $1,500 or so for a drone to and you're not going to you can't have just one. Despite what the missus said.
That's right, absolutely. I managed to pick up this reel today. I was at one of the tackle shops, and they had a $1,500 reel there, and I got it for $750. And it's just this reel, I would never pay that money for it, but it was sitting, and that reel will last forever. It's a very nice reel. So. I had to have it, but I hope my wife doesn't see this, and there's no receipt proof or anything like that. So we should be safe.
Good on you. Let's move on. Another random question for you: the act of drone fishing actually qualifies as work?
It does, absolutely, especially when my missus is involved.
So effectively a work week, hourly work week for you is what, 40, 50 plus hours per week, including drone fishing.
I'm doing 18-hour days at the moment, 7 days a week.
Yeah.
So on my weekends, when we do go out drone fishing, which is generally everyone else fishing and me doing video or filming or making sure they're okay.
Yeah.
So, but I managed last week to have a fish, which was good. So, and plan to do it again this weekend. So, yeah.
Okay.
But it's good fun being out on the beach.
Yeah. I must have hit the silly point of my questions. This one: has there ever been a shark attack on a drone?
I reckon there has been, and I reckon that would be a very sad day. If you didn't get on video, it would be expensive loss. I think if you lost a $1,500 drone to a shark, and it was a good size one, like a white pointer, and it launched itself out of the water, I reckon a good video, you might be able to recover some money back with that. Perhaps just from people donating to your cause or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
I have heard of the submarine ones being attacked. There's the waterproof submarines ones being attacked. So there's more than likely. I'd love to find out if anyone's got any video on that. Send it to Darren, please. I'd like to see it.
Yeah, that'd be brilliant. And this is a little bit of a airy-fairy hocus-pocus question because we had a bit of a flyaway this morning. Joan came back surprisingly. Just looked up, there she was coming back, ever faithful to Phantom 3. But in we have flyaways. Invariably, we have flyaways, and nobody knows where the drones go. But we're hoping that with your experience, when you're drone fishing and you have a flyaway, and it happens, to the best of us. Where does the drone go? Where would you think it goes? Well, our drones generally return. Yeah. But if they didn't, they'd probably be on the bottom of the ocean. And I'd love to see. Look, a mate of mine and I were having a good chat just recently, and we're just thinking, in another 1,000, 12,000 years time, and they're finding all these pieces of plastic on the bottom of the ocean, 200, 300 kilometres around Australia, and around all of the they'll be wondering where did this come from, what were they doing, and they're all the non-waterproof drones that lie on the bottom of the ocean, because there's quite a few out there. Yeah. Oh, good. Do you know how? Yeah, you actually told me this earlier, but. Who's the godfather of drone fishing? Who started this? All right, so that's a bit of a contentious argument about that. There's a gentleman by the name of Farmer Derek. Okay, so and I'm sure it was back in 2013, roughly. Please don't hold me to that. But he had an old one of the original Phantom drones, and he actually tied fishing line around the drone, had a hook, put a bait on it. And he was in a dam or in a lake, and he actually hooked a fish and brought it out of the water to the shore. Yeah. And there's a YouTube. So if you look up Farmer Derek drone fishing, it's had about 2.4 million hits on it. Yeah. So he's the one with the proof. Yeah. And it's drone fishing hasn't been around for that long, so I reckon. Farmer Derek is the man. Yeah. And I'm actually going to contact him because I want to have a chat to him and see if he's got any additional videos or information about that. So, that's a good story. Maybe one more question, one or two more. I've seen boats that are built for actually it's an RC boat, so it does much of the same objective. Basically, it wants to get the bait past the breakers, out where and out far enough, further than you could ever cast. And I can think of the obvious advantages of having a drone do that for you. But if you have to go apples for apples, what are the advantages of using a drone to bait cast effectively over, say, an RC boat? Well, it does pretty much the same sort of thing. I suppose having the drone, you get the bait out a lot faster. You're not having to contend with the waves and the breakers and so forth. But then there's other. We have a drone called Power Dolphin, and that actually has a sonar on it and an echo sounder, so you can actually send it out and actually find the fish. Yeah, and it has a burley cage, so you can actually drop burley over that period, over that point, and a bait release mechanism as well. So you can find the fish, drop it, mark it a location. So I suppose that's the advantage of the RC boat. With the fishing drones, you can attach
a small sonar device, but generally you're limited to about 100 meters. So that's what I would say the danger is.
Okay, yeah.
In Europe, they have boats that are 1.5 meters, 2 meters long, made from fiberglass, and you can actually pull a human being behind them.
Yeah.
They use those for fishing.
Yeah.
And that would be a nice rig to have.
Yeah, sounds good. All right, so probably moving on to the end. We have a few more topics to hit, but let's say I'm a noob. I showed up at the beach, have a bait or a tension device on my, let's say, Phantom, and got some bait on it, and looking around. Obviously, I'm going to know the right direction to fly. But what are the hot tricks and tips for the noob?
For the noob, make sure your batteries are charged. Make sure you calibrate your drone. When you do connect the line to the drone, keep it away from the propellers when you take off. Make sure the bail on the fishing rod is released, so free spills. Make sure it doesn't get any snags. And as you're sending your line out, just keep an eye on the reel. If you can have two people to help you, it's better. That way they can keep an eye. If it does get snagged, then you can stop the drone and so forth. Just make sure the wind's not blowing too much. And just take it really slow, really easy when you first start out. I would do some practice runs, just 10 meters out. But it's just methodical. Make sure your battery's right. Keep the line away from the drone. Make sure the bail's open. Make sure the wind's not blowing too much, and make sure that'll be doing it wherever you're doing it at the time, I suppose. But just slow and steady. That's the best advice I can give. And look, we all make mistakes and we all learn from them. But if you go slow and steady, be methodical, then you reduce your chances of a loss.
Okay. Well, let's talk some more about the gear that goes along with it. So I might actually just grab this guy.
Go for it.
That was the roof. I think the fishing rod fared better than the roof.
Yeah.
Anyways, what are we looking at?
So this is the G Reaper. So this is a 10'6" rod. This is designed for drone fishing. So if you can imagine, with a normal rod, it's designed for a casting action. Although these rods have got a really good cast action built into them, the action of the rod, they're very, very strong. So the action is what they call fast. This one's an extra heavy action and a fast taper. But this has got a X-weave around the whole rod from base to tip, which gives it incredible strength. And it also has a cross diagonal carbon fiber weave throughout the whole rod. So extremely strong. This is rated 80 to 130 pounds. The one down from that's rated 50 to 80. And then we've got some 12-foot rods that are rated, testing my knowledge, 40 to 60 pounds. But even the guide rings, they're a K series, so that really limits line tangle. It's got alcinite rings, which reduce heat and abrasion to your braid because you're spilling out a lot of line at times. So they're just very heavy duty rods.
Well, that's really interesting, and believe me, I'm holding it here. It's light as a feather. As strong as it is, it's light as a feather. Can we pull out the landing pad as well?
So another thing too. So these. So the one is one of the brands that we produce. So when you're using it for the beach, you need a fairly large landing pad, or it helps keeps off the dust and dust. So that's 130 centimetre. It's a foldable landing pad. So that's the biggest one on the market at the moment. If there's any larger, I wanted it 1.5, but it would just be too hard to fold. But I think I might push that point. It's always good to go bigger on the beach. We've also got a 1.8 metre landing mat. So it gives you a really large landing base. Has sand mat around the outside, so sand falls through, keeps the sand away from the drone and the gimbal, protects that. But these are everyone loves these so far. The landing mat's brilliant because it just seems like every time you hit that return to home, the drone it's always within a half a metre or a metre. So 1.8, you're pretty covered there. And I think sometimes it's good just to let it land.
Well, the benefit I think of having this is obviously you're handling fish, and maybe the guy who's baiting the hook, you don't necessarily want him holding your drone.
No,
he's got fish guts all over his hands.
That's right.
It lands there, it's it's out of the way.
Correct.
Well, Tony, it's been really interesting. I mean, I think I'm gonna, I don't know, I might have a go at drone
I'm going to
fishing.
take you out for sure.
But this is our little gift for coming on the Soar Cast. So this is a Soar calendar. So that's a 2020 calendar. It's got images from Soar. So either their satellite or their drone images, and some
of these images I've been on the website, and they're just absolutely stunning.
Yeah.
Incredible.
So those are all local and. And
Soar socks.
To go with your thongs, there you go.
Thank you.
That's a good look. I call that the penguin toe look.
I've never known a business to actually make socks. That's awesome.
And surely, on one of those drones, there's room for at least 2 or 3
it's going on there.
Stickers everywhere.
Brilliant.
But Tony, it's been great having you, and thanks for coming on the Soarcast, and happy fishing.
Thank you.
Yeah.
See you soon. Thank you very much, Father.
And that's all we have time for today. Tune in to our next Soarcast for more discussion on geospatial products and imagery found on Soar.